Lesson 5.4, Investments. Our objective for this lesson is to be able to compute the total and annual return on an investment. In previous lessons, we've assumed that we're going to earn the same interest rate every month for a long period of time. But in reality, the interest that we earn on investments tends to vary over time. So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to compute that interest. Let's start by defining total and annual return. First, total return is the percentage change in the investment value. So the formula for total return is the ending balance or the accumulated balance minus the starting principal divided by the starting principal. That'll give you a decimal, and then if you multiply by 100%, that will give you a percentage, and that's your total return. So it's just the difference, the amount that you made or lost in the investment divided by what you started with. And it can be either positive or negative. Annual return is the annual percentage yield, or APY. We talked about APY back in lesson 5.2. Annual return is the APY that would give the same overall growth over T years. So the formula for annual return is the accumulated balance divided by the starting principal, and then take that number to the 1 over T power, where T is the number of years that this investment has been growing. And then subtract 1. That gives you your annual return. Next, I want to talk about 3 basic types of investments. We're not going to get too deep into any of these. You could really have an entire course on just investing, but we want to kind of stay focused on the math. So I'm just going to kind of give you a brief overview of the 3 most common types of investments. The first is stock. Stock is a share of ownership in a company. You invest by purchasing shares of the stock, and the only way to get your money out is to sell the stock. So this isn't an account, and no one's promised to pay you any money. It's just that you have bought a small percentage, or perhaps a large percentage, but you've bought a percentage interest in the company. So you are a part owner in the company, and if the company does well, then when you sell the stock, it will be worth more than it was when you bought it, and that's how you make money through investment in stocks. Next is a bond. So a bond is a promise of future cash, usually issued by either a government or a corporation. In other words, it's a debt that is owed to you by the government or by some corporation. The issuer of the bond promises to pay back your initial investment plus interest at some later date. And I should note here that the interest is simple interest as opposed to compound interest. And finally, cash investments. So cash investments could include money you deposit into bank accounts or certificates of deposit or U.S. Treasury bills. And cash investments usually earn interest, and it's usually a smaller interest rate than you would get with, say, a typical return on stocks. But they also tend to be much safer. Their bank accounts are insured by the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and so you're guaranteed to get that money back. Our example says that 10 years after purchasing shares in a mutual fund for $7,500, you sell them for $12,600. We're asked to compute the total and annual return. Now, I should explain that a mutual fund is an investment program that has investments in a variety of different types of investments, including stocks, bonds, and cash investments. So we have our formulas up here for total return and for annual return. Let's do the total return first. So our A, the amount we had at the end of this investment period, was $12,600. And the P was $7,500. And so we're going to subtract those and then divide by $7,500. So that's going to give us the amount that we made in this investment divided by the amount we started with. So 12,600 minus 7,500 is 5,100. And if we divide that by 7,500, we're going to get 0.68 or 68%. All right, now the annual return. So for the annual return, we're going to divide A, the accumulated balance, which was 12,600, by P, the starting principal, 7,500. And then we're going to take that to the 1 over T. And here we're told that we invested this for 10 years. So this is going to be 1 over 10 minus 1. All right, so let's do what's in the parentheses here. If we divide 12,600 by 7,500, we're going to get 1.68. So what that's saying is that at the end, we had 168% of what we had in the beginning, which we know from our total return, we earned 68%. So it makes sense that this amount is 1.68 or 168%. We're going to then take that to the 1 over 10 power, so the 0.1 power. If we're putting this into a calculator, that might make it easier. And then we're going to subtract 1. And if we do all of that, we get 0.053 or 5.3%. So that is the annual rate that we were earning over these 10 years.